Thank you so much for downloading the episode. On the show today, I talk about a dream that I keep having about a horse, Friday Night Lights, and then a discussion ensues after I go down the rabbit hole of YouTube. This, plus an ugly and awkward moment of the week. Thank you so much. Enjoy the show.
It's another uncensored look at the world around you from sisters who will say just about anything to anyone at any time. It's the Uggs. Jamie?
This hole is open for business.
Paula?
Get back, you assholes!
Uncensored as always, it's time for the ugly truth.
Welcome to the Ugly Truth. It is episode 302. Welcome. Oh, go.
Oh, we are Sisters Who Podcast.
We will get professional about that one day. Maybe 402.
402.
Yeah, 100 episodes from now, when we're 80 years old, we'll figure it out. Sisters Who Podcast. It'll be funny. So I'm going to get right into it. Every once in a while, I mean, I have a lot of vivid dreams in general. I dream very vividly. And so I have this reoccurring dream about horses.
Oh.
And it reminded me of it because, and I just had it a few days ago, and it reminded me of it because a mutual friend of ours had said that she has this reoccurring dream about packing and leaving from a vacation to go home. And she keeps having the same dream that it changes it up, but this hurried, unable to organize and pack dream that she had. So I was curious, so I looked it up. And it has to do with baggage in your life and being able to leave it and move on. Mm-hmm. It's like unresolved issues that you're trying to put away, but you can't. And she's like, and every time I wake up from that dream, I'm exhausted. And I was like, well, that's because your mind is trying to work out stuff that you know you have to deal with in your life. And your mind is like, you got to put that shit away and move it on and get out of here. And so she's like, God, that makes so much sense. And so I'm like, you know what? I was wondering about this horse thing. So I looked up horse. And of course, there's like a gajillion, horse racing and the Mustang and all this other stuff. But the base...
To see a Pegasus.
Right. If you see a Pegasus, you're trying to get in touch with your Greek roots. Yeah, exactly. So it was just all I remember in the dream is that I'm at a ranch place and I have a horse. And it's on a lead, and I'm with their little harness thing, and I'm holding it to like lead it into a pen or whatever. I'm not riding it. I'm just kind of walking it in, but I have this super warm affection for it, and I'm like I'm nuzzling it with against its neck and stuff, and I'm petting it, and I just really love this horse. And so I was looking at what horse means, and horse symbolizes strength, power, endurance, virility, and sexual prowess. It represents a strong physical energy. And I was like, okay, well, I still don't get it. I don't know. Am I embracing my strong physical energy? I mean, I'm not sure, but you need to tame the wild forces within. I'm like, I don't have any wild forces.
Wild horses.
I love that song.
Drag me away.
I love that song.
I know.
Not the Rolling Stones version, but that girl that sings it.
The high-pitched version.
Ugh, I love that song. I'm going to buy that on iTunes.
It's a good idea.
That song makes me want to be goth and emo
Goth.
again.
It makes me want to run through a pasture of like flowers that'll probably give me bites on my ankles.
Give you a rash.
I'll come back with ticks.
Oh my God. I have to tell you this because it's really funny. Do you remember a long time ago me telling you that the rash thing reminded me that I asked Daryl that if I ever lost my hand, would he hold my nub? Did I ever tell you that?
That's an interesting correlation.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Ticks to a nub. No, I don't remember that conversation.
I did, and I said it because we were in Disneyland, and I asked him if he would hold my nub if we were at Disneyland walking around. He's like, well, I guess. I go, I'd wiggle it around if you held it.
That's bizarre.
I know. So what was funny is the other night.
Couldn't he hold like the back of your elbow or something like that?
Or my other hand. You know, if I had only one nub, I mean, he could hold my other hand for God's sake.
You know what? That ixnay on that idea. I just felt my back fat or my arm fat, and
There's a patch of fat there. You can't let that happen.
that's like, remember Grandma? She had like those like gobbles on the back of her arm.
Matronly arms.
I used to play with her skin. Did you know
I know
that?
you did. Yeah, I did, because you did it to our mother too. Because we all inherited the matronly arms.
I gotta do some triceps.
God, even if you did though, you would work out and you'd have these nice sculpted arms. You let it go for 3 days and they'd be back, because that's just our nature. That's just our genetics.
I'd have sculpted arms and then some skin hanging underneath
Yes, and you'd be like, I want to cut the skin off so bad.
I'd have to go to botched Dr. Dubrow.
Dr. Dubrow, like, what's going on here? It's like matronly arm syndrome.
You tell me.
So I have this habit of watching Dr. Pimple Popper videos at night before I go to bed.
Okay.
On my little iPad. And so what happens sometimes is that you go down the black hole of YouTube.
The rabbit hole.
Yeah, because you watch Dr. Pimple, but on the right side, there's all these really grotesque videos that they suggest saying, well, if you like this, you might like this completely rotted hand that they're going to dissect, whatever,
Where this guy who was in a car accident fell out and he wasn't found for 7 days and he's covered in maggots.
Exactly. And so there was one, God, I can't. It was supposed to be a feel-good story because, and it happened in Australia. There were so many issues with it, but I watched it. Basically, he had some kind of staph infection, and then he got sepsis. And for 3 days, and this man is married. For 3 days, his wife just let him suffer because she thought, no, he, of course, being a man, never even considered going to the hospital. And she, being an idiot, said, I'll just let him decide, which is like the dumbest thing. When you're married, it is your responsibility to say, you are going to the hospital. This is over, right? Or I'm calling 911 or whatever. And she didn't do that. So finally, on the third day, he was covered in a rash. He had a headache he couldn't control. And he was really, really ill. She calls 911 finally. And so they take him in. It's too late. He lost both of his legs below the knee, and he lost both of his hands below the elbow. He also lost his mouth. So he had just a hole where his mouth was. He had no lips or anything. His skin literally rotted off because of the staph infection that never was treated properly because he waited so long.
So he was like a potato.
Yes, he looked like a turtle is the way I looked at it. He literally looked like a human turtle.
And doesn't she now wish that she called a little sooner?
Right? Or just ignored his pleas for leaving me alone and just say, no, we're not doing that. You're coming with me. Like, how do you not? I don't. So I had a hard time with that part of it. But anyway, so they tried to do plastic surgery. And his biggest concern is that his son, who's like 3 or 4, is kind of afraid of him now. Because he looks horrible. Aww, he's really deformed.
So sad.
It is sad. And the guy was just like, you guys need to leave me. Let me just be this way by myself.
Aww, he thought he was like Quasimodo.
He really did. But it's a feel good because the wife is like, no, I'm staying with you. What's wrong with you? You're my husband. And I mean, yeah, you've had a tragic accident, essentially. But I'm staying with you. So I'm reading all of this. And I mean, I am moved to tears by many things. But this one I struggled with I really did not feel any emotion to it, but I watched it and I'm like, okay, well, they're still together. He has this pretend mouth that he puts on around his son, so his son isn't afraid of him, because that's the thing. It's not the loss of the limbs. It was his face got pretty deformed, and the plastic surgeon just butchered him, unfortunately. He needs to come to America and
Where
have
was
that done
he?
right.
In Alabama or something?
Australia.
Oh, really? I would have expected more.
Not everybody has access to Dr. Dubrow, but it would be nice if they would send him, because I think they could probably do an amazing job.
Probably.
They just did a face transplant, for God's sake. Not Dr. Dubrow, but
the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, but it's better than not having a face, right? I mean, the girl, although, did you see how beautiful that girl was that got the face transplant?
I don't think you mean the before picture?
Yeah, she was stunning. Now, not so much.
Clay
but
mold.
at least she has She has a face. Yes. So anyway, I watch it, and so I turned off my laptop, and we were just laying there. And in my mind, I'm thinking, if that ever happened to Daryl, I would never leave him. I would be there for him. I would get him the best care. He's still my husband, and I love him, and his personality and his heart are still there. It would not be a question.
What if the shoe was on the other foot, though?
Oh my God, he would never leave. Are you kidding?
Would you want him to stay with you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just don't know. You know me. I'd be like, if you need to go get laid with a girl that has 4 arms and legs, that's fine. We don't need to pretend.
Just telling you, my mouth will give you a hell of a blowjob.
I mean, until Dr. Dubrow gets a hold of me, this hole is open for business. Anyway, so I'm laying there going, God, I can't even believe that this would be a question. I mean, if you've been married and you truly love each other, this is not even up for debate, right?
I wouldn't think so, but I mean, there's some shallow people out there.
So I'm thinking all of these warm thoughts, but that's not what came out of my mouth when I asked Daryl. I turned to Daryl at 11 o'clock at night, and he's half asleep.
And you've already started the conversation.
In my brain. So I've gone beyond, I've already thought of all the love and compassion, and now I've gone to the weird. So I turned to him and I said, if you got a staph infection and lost your arms and you only had nubs, would you want to do something gross with them? And he goes, what do you mean? I go, well, would you want to put it inside me or something? And he's like, what? He's like, why would you say that to me? And I'm like, well, I'm just wondering, is that something? And then I go, do you think there's nub porn? And he's like, nub porn? I go, yeah, I mean, do you think that they have that? I go, you know what? Don't Google it, because I don't want to know. He goes, I would never Google that. I'm like, well, yes, you would now, because I put it in your mind. And he's like, what's happening? Why am I losing hands? Why do
What are you reading?
Why do I have a nub? And I'm like, I'm just wondering, is that something that guys who lose their hands think about? They're like, hey, I wonder if I can put... He goes, okay. He's like, no, I wouldn't. I go, even if it's all healed over? He's like, stop it. He's like, you cannot look at YouTube anymore.
God.
No one else thinks about those things. Come on. They just don't want to say it. So don't Google nub porn, because it probably exists.
Well,
he goes, what about wheelchair sex? I'm like, what are you doing? I go, that's disgusting.
Wheelchair
how
sex
dare you?
is gross. That's where you cross the line.
Yeah, that's you have crossed a line, mister.
Well, I'm pretty sure most people who have nubs have prosthetics or something like that. So
yeah,
that would be a little scratchy.
So I heard about this article, but I was under the impression it was super legit. And so I was like, God, that's really weird. But, I mean, you have to explain this to me. What is the deal with the front hole article?
Okay. So basically, now I'm wondering if it's even real, because you said it's not.
No, I asked you.
Oh.
I said, is this not real?
Oh,
Because
okay.
the article says, no, someone's not trying to change the name of vagina to front hole. And I'm like, what?
Okay, so there's this company called Healthline in San Francisco. It's the equivalent of WebMD, but it's more targeted towards queer, trans, intersex, and asexual people.
Okay.
Now, I had to look up intersex and asexual people because I didn't know what they were. Intersex is basically what the old hermaphrodite used to be.
Oh.
They changed
so
it
a hermaphrodite has both sets of genitals, correct?
Yes, but they don't call them hermaphrodites anymore. They call
it intersex?
Intersex.
Okay.
I don't know.
And this is a legitimate medical
journal. That's what they claim. So
Okay.
But the point is in this journal that they wrote, they quote themselves for saying, for the purposes of this guide, we've chosen to include alternative words for readers to use their genitals. For example, for trans men, they choose to use the words front hole or internal genital instead of vagina, which I don't know why, but maybe it's because vagina is given specifically to women or
people who have actual vaginas.
I'm not sure.
This is my question. I unfortunately, and I say this for real, I don't know anybody who's transgender in my life, in my personal day-to-day life. I don't know anybody. I would be curious to know, is it getting a bit confusing for you? Like, I feel like there's a lot of chefs in the kitchen when it comes to this specific area of sexuality. I feel like there's a lot of opinions and a lot of easily offended people that are speaking on behalf of those who genuinely are transgender. It's like, is it getting a little too much for you? I mean, I'm just curious, because to me, it feels like every day there's a new declaration, there's a new, announcement for how we're going to treat. I feel like there's a lot of focus on what's going down below for these people who are trying just to live their life.
Well, I feel like I need a vocabulary or like a dictionary because they've, this particular group, the LGBTQXL, whatever,
right.
Have replaced so many words that, I would inadvertently offend someone.
I don't, yeah.
Just from lack of knowledge.
Well, because it seems like it's changing every day.
Right.
Do we need to arm ourselves with are we required to know every single thing so that we don't offend someone when we walk around in real life? Although I'm cool with what I would really appreciate if this is a legit thing. And I'm not talking about transgendered people because I know that's legitimate, but it's like, do you really want me to have an opinion on what you call your genitals?
Exactly.
Like, do you really care what I think about what you call? I don't.
Should we be discussing that? I mean,
can we just focus on what kind of human you are as a person? Like, are you kicking puppies? Are you
right.
Are you becoming are you an active member of your community? It's like, those are the things I care about.
Are you interviewing for a job? You don't get it, you front hole.
Yeah. It's like, why are we focused so much on declaring to everyone, this is what we're calling it now? And it's like, okay, well, I don't really give a shit. I'm not helping you wipe. I don't care. Are you a decent human? That's all I care about. That, and where did you get that lipstick? God damn it. Exactly. It's really pretty. I mean, that's it, So it's like, I struggle with that stuff because it's like, is this something that I need to have in my mind, in my brain? Is this information that I must file away to talk to somebody who is transgender? Or, I just don't think so. So I resent it a little bit because I did read a little bit about it, that it said that this is not something that was meant for public consumption. This was apparently, I could be wrong, that this is something meant for people who are transitioning or who are in that process, or, all of that I get. But some of that stuff, I feel like, isn't that like confidential in the sense of, this in our community, when I'm talking to my doctor or when I'm talking to my therapist or my friends, this is, God forbid, if our genitals come up, this is what we call it? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I thought we went over that in 5th grade. It's just, Do
you remember? I remember the education process in elementary school when someone called it their, PP or their, whatever they call it at home. And someone else goes, what is that? And they're like, my muffin or whatever they call it at home. The mom calls it at home because they don't want to use vagina. And then the super worldly kid who's clearly going to be traveling, Europe with a backpack in 10 years goes, yo, you mean your vagina?
Right.
And you're
we
like,
use real words in our house.
Yeah, we use the appropriate. And then the mom will show up and say, yes, well, I call things the appropriate names because I don't want to arm my children with misinformation.
So then you're telling me what's above your lip is a mustache.
What you're saying is that is hormonal mustache. Is that what that is?
Are you
that
in
long
menopause?
hair coming? Yeah, that long hair coming out of your mole. What do we call that? Errant hair.
Something that needs to be plucked.
That tuft of hair coming out of your pit. What do we call that? God,
Gross.
Ever heard of a deodorant?
Oh.
Anyway, what's the story?
So there was a pile of laundry on the couch, and the kids were folding it.
Yeah.
And Olivia's like, Mom! And she grabbed me by the arm, and she grabbed
you by your matronly skin.
Yeah, by my skin, and dragged me to the hallway, and she showed me, and it was a pair of my underwear, and she's like, Mom, you pooped in your underwear. And I said, what? And I started laughing. And she's like, look. And it was my period underwear.
Oh, God. They were like in a pile of clothes.
You know,
for
when
laundry.
you wash them, like, you know, a billion times, they turn.
They're stained.
They turn brown.
Yeah.
And so I said, Olivia, I said, I did not poop in my underwear.
Oh, my gosh. She's like, well, what is this?
And then she said, yes, you did. It's brown.
Oh, no.
So I just quickly gave her a quick 101 on what happens. And then she just walked away from me backwards with her eyes wide open.
I was going to say, did she look like a cartoon lamb with her eyes open?
It was the funniest thing ever.
You're like, and I'd be looking at her with my glare, like, you're next.
Yeah, right. I said, it happens around 13. I said,
she's
so
like,
you've
do it.
got,
I go,
said,
do the math.
I said, you've got about 4 years. And she's like, no, I don't.
Oh, yeah. That's so funny. She can be one of those girls that doesn't know she's pregnant because she just refuses to believe that it happens.
God, I pray not.
She'll be 22 years old. It's like, I didn't even know I was pregnant because I don't have a front hole. God, that's really funny about that. Oh, really quick. Okay, so last week, just before I tell you, I wanted to tell you the beginning. Last week was Malia's first varsity football game.
Hey, yeah, how'd that go?
It went good. It was super freaking hot, and it was at our alma mater, CASA.
Yay!
Because
go Rams!
Yeah, go Rams! Go! Psh, psh. But it's so funny because it reminds me how small town that area is, because, you know, we have a lot of friends who married their high school sweethearts, and, you know, all their kids actually went to CASA after them. It's like generations of kids come and go. And it's really, it's foreign to me because I would never want to do that. That's just not my thing. It feels like small town Texas, and it's just not something I ever wanted to do. But I think it has a lot to do with when we were growing up, our personal lives. I wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. And I got as far as Fair Oaks, but I did get out of
You got the hell out of town about 4 miles away.
4 miles out. But that was not by choice, but it just ended up happening. But anyway, so CASA is, like I said, it's a little more rural than other areas, but not yet. It is, but it isn't. I mean, it's surrounded by horse property. They were known as the Aggie School when I was going there, you know, because they had a really great FFA and all that stuff. And there was a time before our time where people would ride their horses to school to CASA because it was that close to everybody's property.
Yeah, that's true.
So they make a really big to-do when the football team comes out. They have a big blow-up ram. It's probably like 30 feet tall, and they run through it like a tunnel. It's really cool.
How exciting.
So when they run out as a herd, a herd of rams, they run out. The 4 captains of the football team run out first, and they run, I mean, full force. Like, they're running hard. And the 4 captains are holding flags. An American flag, ROTC, California flag, and probably some CASA representation flag, or Orangevale or something. So there's 4 flags that represent the school and the country. And so they run out, and I mean, they are running like if you ran, you would be killed. You would be hurt.
Yeah.
It's a team of like 80. There's a lot of guys that play at CASA. They field they could have 3 practice teams. And so they run out. It's a real sight to see. I love it. I think it's really cool. And the kid holding one of the flags, he falls so hard.
Oh no.
That the entire school and we were on the visitor side, everybody goes, "Oh," really loud, and he couldn't get up because he was being stampeded by his own team.
Nobody stopped to pick him up?
Nope. They ran right over him. And then he finally got up and wandered sheepishly over to the ROTC because there's 4 guys representing that they hand them the flags. And then you walk over and you start warming up. And I was like, oh my God, he for the rest of his life will be known as the guy that got stampeded his senior year on the first game on the field as a senior. That will be him. Forever.
His parents are in the crowd thinking like, poor guy.
That's
God, that's terrible.
Like, that is. Wow, that's horrible. That's unfortunate. Yeah. And what sucks is he will never, ever live it down. ever, for the rest of his life, he will be known as that guy. I'm sure someone got a photo of it. I'm sure it will be in the yearbook.
It will definitely be in the yearbook.
I mean, I think it's funny because it's happened to me. I've fallen in the middle of a football field. So I think it's, I lived to tell the tale.
I admire people who can play sports like football and stuff like that.
Me too.
There's like the men you date that played football or played baseball or basketball. And then there's the men that you date that were, tennis, cycling,
golf,
swimming.
Yes.
It doesn't make them less. It just, it's kind of maybe like a right brain, left brain thing. I don't know.
I don't know because I didn't really have a whole lot of respect. Respect is the wrong word. I didn't have any education, so I didn't really think much of the aquatic sports. Mm-hmm. Or, golf. Golf is a mind. It's mind and coordination. I can't play it. It's beyond my skill level. Daryl's really, really good at it. But the aquatics, when I was in high school, I never thought much of the polo or the swim team. But looking back now, I look at my yearbooks at the polo teams because, our kids played polo, so I was curious about it. They were small teams back then because aquatics wasn't a big thing around here. Those guys were in such good shape.
Well, I think there's also people who are athletic and just aren't. And, I had fun playing games like, basketball and stuff like that. But, I didn't take myself seriously by any means.
I could not shoot a basket. I don't think to this day I've ever shot a basket that made it into the basket. Never. I've tried many times and it just doesn't work for me. I've had people show me the proper way to do it and I can't do it.
I always played the softball or something like that. And I was the one where the infield and the outfield started scooting forward.
They started to come in. And
I'm like, get back, you assholes!
I'm going to hit it out of the park now, god damn it. Yeah, I would always hit something that was barely foul and I'd literally hit it straight to first base, they're like, oh, okay. I was not good. I'm not good. I don't know if it's a lack of desire or if it's truly athletic ability. I'm not quite sure. It's always so cute when people always say, oh, you could do it. You could do it. I'm like, you don't really know me very well.
Right.
No, I can't. I can't even eat nachos without getting it on my shirt.
Yeah,
so.
Really.
I don't really see
Thank
how
God eating's not a sport.
Yeah, I don't think I could coordinate my legs to run fast to 25 yards to get somewhere before someone else beat me to it. That would not happen. I was always one of the first people tagged really hard in the ass in dodgeball. I was the easy target.
I was always tagged in the face.
Oh, the side of the head. One time we were playing volleyball for fun. We were camping and we were playing volleyball. I was probably 19.
Who plays volleyball for fun?
I was dating Tyler's dad and we went camping at the beach and there was 12 of us. And so we decided to play volleyball at the beach. And I ran up and I felt and I'm terrible at volleyball too, by the way. I've tried them all. I'm like Danny Zuko. When I was in high school, my PE teacher was hoping that something would work. Nothing ever did. So I tried volleyball. In high school, I got hit in the boob really super hard by a volleyball. I mean, hard. And it was people were laughing. So we were playing and I thought for sure this ball was coming over the net. And I said, I got it. I ran towards it. Let me get it. I ran towards it and I got hit dead on in the face. And I literally knocked myself out. I was on the ground dizzy. And all of a sudden, I look up kind of and I see the other side. They are laying on the ground laughing so hard. They're peeing their pants. And my side comes over, they're laughing. Are you okay? And I'm like, I think so. Did I get it? It was so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. They're like, maybe you shouldn't play anymore.
That is one game I refuse to play. And I won't even be within 20 feet of the net because
you're like, nope, I'll keep score.
There'll be a wayward ball that'll come and hit me.
Oh, God. I can't have balls flying in my face. Well, there goes your social life. I love Clueless. Anyway, so Daryl's going camping finally.
Is this the fishing man trip?
This is the man trip light. They call it.
Man trip light. The Diet Coke of man trips.
The Splenda of man trips. Yes. They are It used to be, and this was before when everybody didn't have children and they were all about 10 years younger. They would go for like 4 days or 5 days. They would drive up to the hills or the mountains of Tahoe, eastern Sierras. They would go up there with their gear and all their food and their booze and their pot, and they'd spend 4 days being drunk and fishing. And then suddenly everybody got older. I shouldn't say old because they're not old, but they got older and have real jobs, and now they have wives and children, and so now that's kind of unrealistic. In fact, I think it was last time they went, they all mulled over the idea of getting a cabin.
Oh God,
they want running water,
the geriatric man trip. Yeah, well, is this the place where they make their own chili?
Yes.
And yes, then one guy got diarrhea.
Badly. Yes.
They had a commode.
Yeah, they had to create a rock pile for him. Yes, it was, those days may have come and gone, but yeah, they mulled over a cabin. They're like, well, that doesn't make us pussies, right? I mean, we just want to go fishing, right? And they're trying to convince themselves that getting a cabin is not a downgrade to the man trip. But they all met for lunch this week and are planning things out, and they're super excited. Everybody's got the day off, and so they're trying really hard to go Saturday, which I'm really hoping for because I love Daryl very much and I love my family, but there is nothing like having no people here. Like no man, no children, no, I could literally sit and binge watch Netflix, watch all the girly shows I want, do what, not have to make 3 meals a day because Daryl's sniffing around going, what's for dinner? I don't have to do any of that. It's so nice to be able to just do that. And it's been a really long time since I've had the ability to do that. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those girls who likes to go to the spa for the day. I want to be at my house.
I wouldn't
and do
know.
The spa.
I've never been to the spa.
I don't want to. I don't want people touching me and massaging me and doing things. I just want to be in my house. I'll do my own spa. Like I'll do my own mask and nails and all that stuff. I
want my face to look younger. So whatever the spa
whatever
does.
that is.
Well, haven't you heard of one of those meta spas or like a medical something facial?
What is that? Oh, where they basically give you one step under an injection where they do like the chemical peels and stuff.
Is that what that is?
I think so.
I'm kind of scared to do a chemical peel.
Well, Paula, you and I would have the most bizarre side effect. They'd be like, this is such a rare side effect. We can't believe it. Never happens. We've never seen this before. That would be us.
But your nose just fell off.
It's just so strange.
And that would be you, and I'd be stuck. I'd be like, God damn it. Of course hers fell off.
You're like, now what? Now I feel beholden to you for the rest of my life. Now you look like a skeleton. Right. So I'm a little afraid to do anything that says chemical peel, but
yeah, they could have come out with something a little gentler.
I think they do. I think they have stuff. They have, on where you can go to the store and they have those little round brushes that you can brush your own skin with. Those round electric round.
Oh, microdermabrasion.
Yeah, I think they have versions of that are a little more sophisticated. Maybe at the spas. I mean, I'm all in. I've had a facial before and I didn't mind it at all, but I'm just not a fan. I don't like laying down and not having any say over what's going to happen. I just don't like it.
I had a facial too, but I had to close my eyes.
By the way, I did not know this. Do you know what a pirate is, or a dirty pirate?
Oh God, no. Well, I may have done it, but I don't know it had a name. What is it?
Okay, no, you don't do it. Someone does it to you. Okay, First of all, someone said something about a dirty pirate. This is on some friends on social media. And I'm like, okay, I'm a whore in bed. I'll do just about anything, and I do not know what a dirty pirate is. And so I Googled it.
What is it?
It's when you're giving a man a blowjob, and right before he's ready to come, he pulls out and he pokes you in the eye and makes you blink. That's a dirty pirate.
That's a waste.
Right? Well, and it's really rude.
Well, I mean, unless, most gentlemen have the audacity to tell you what they're about to do.
Well, that's why they call it the dirty pirate, because it's not nice.
Oh.
If a man does that to you, he has no respect for you.
And then what are you supposed to be like? Arr!
Yeah, you're supposed to pull back with your eye full of goo and be pissed, which, yeah. Well, first of all, I don't think I'd ever be with someone who would do that to me. If I did, it would be the last time. Isn't that crazy bad?
I'd probably shove my eye in their mouth.
Oh my God, I would do so many horrible things if someone did that to me. My goodness. It's a horribly disrespectful thing. I was telling Daryl the other day, speaking of sex, I was like, I want to know the woman who made it appropriate for anal to be on the table all the time. Like, I'm so over the anal. I don't know when that became normalized. I'm not saying that people don't enjoy it, but some of us don't. I don't. And I'm sick of it being on the menu. It's like, what woman said she liked this being done to her, and now everyone has to be okay with it? I'm so over it.
It's not an, every day on the menu thing. It's like the special,
You're right, but I don't like it. I don't like it, and I hate it when I have to say it, where I have to say, why is this even up for any kind of discussion? When did this become a thing? I mean, maybe it was always a thing, but who mainstreamed it? That's my thing. I want to meet that woman and hit her in the face. Like, I'm so over it.
We're going to have to go back to like the 70s.
Maybe I just don't like it. Maybe I'm the only one who doesn't like it.
No.
Being suggested.
Jamie, nobody likes it.
I mean, someone must. I don't know.
Yeah, they get paid to pretend to look like they'd like it.
Well, that's true. That is true. When money's involved, a woman will, if that's her forte, she'll pretend to love it.
Money and Vaseline will make you look like you like anything.
Ugh. Anyway, so enjoy your trip, Producer Deb. Enjoy your man trip with your friends.
If they do catch the fish, do they bring them home?
They eat them.
Oh, there. Okay.
Yeah, they eat them. I mean, there's one guy going who's quite proficient, and he brings home a lot, and they have like a freezer. So he fishes a lot, and so he probably will bring some home. But I don't know enough about fishing to know if it's a good time. I don't know if the fires affect anything.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing that sucks is that they cannot make a fire. So that kind of puts a damper on camping when you can't have a fire.
Well, can they bring like a propane stove or something?
They can, okay. Yes. But you can't build a big fire because
but it's not really camping without a campfire.
I know. And I'm like, can't you have a fire pit or something? Or, I'm sure there's ways around it. So, and they're super safe. So we'll see. Anyway, so let's go to the ugly and awkward moments of the week.
So my ugly and awkward moment this week is that I don't have one.
You don't have an ugly and awkward moment.
I don't.
Although the underwear in the hallway could be one.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. That was really funny. Well, what was funny is that she grabbed me by the arm and she ushered me
led you to the
hallway because Ryan was in the living room.
Oh, so she didn't want to embarrass you?
She just thought it was going to be an embarrassing subject all around because she thought I was pooping in my pants.
That is so funny, even though you didn't.
No, I did not.
That's hilarious. Anyway, all right. Well, that's fine. I mean, we don't always have ugly and awkward moments. We're not always awkward, for God's sake. But I have one.
Oh, okay.
So as you know, I have been having this ongoing treatment with my dentist, who I like a lot. And, I don't know what it is about people in those positions where you develop some kind of affection for them just because.
Well, it's a trust because, they're doing something to you, like medically,
yes,
that would otherwise be scary. And if it was a stranger, then, you'd be freaked out.
Right. And I've known my dentist for a very long time, and I do trust him implicitly. And so, of course, because I am somewhat damaged, now I have a crush on him. Not that I would ever act on it, but you know what I mean. It's just this weird platonic crush. So anyway, and he's so nice to me because he knows how scared I am all the time. I went in because now that I've gotten past all of the deep cleanings, thank God that's over.
Oh, good.
Now I'm going to be getting some trays to treat gum disease, because the reality is I have gum disease, and it's not for lack of brushing your teeth or flossing, which I do. It's genetic. I mean, like even Malia, who's 17, who has like the most perfect teeth ever, she's showing signs of gum disease.
Wow.
I'm literally pulling out all the stops to try to prevent any further damage if I can. And so we're doing this cool thing where I went in to get molds of my teeth done earlier this week. So the last time I got them done, it was this purple goo, and it makes you gag. I have the worst gag reflex ever. I really, really do. It's embarrassing.
That is embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. And so the assistant is doing it, and she's like, okay, we're going to do the first tray. So we do the bottom tray first. No gag problems with the bottom tray. And she did it. It hardens in 60 seconds. And so then they take it out, and she's like, you know what? This one didn't turn out very well. And so Dr. Riak comes in. He goes, well, I'll do it. I have time. And so he does it. And so he's holding the tray in my mouth, just looking around, talking to me. And I can't talk. I'm like, right? And so he takes it out. And the first time he took it out, he put both of his fingers in my mouth to remove this thing. Paula, I did not know that my mouth could stretch that much.
God.
It was hard. It hurt. It hurt. And I'm like, I feel like I'm giving birth. Like it was so stretched out. And like even like the skin on the side of my mouth, like I tasted blood a little bit. Like it was really, really painful. And so I didn't say anything because I'm so high maintenance as it is. And I hate being a high maintenance patient. It's like my biggest thing. It's so annoying.
It's probably already written on your chart.
Oh, it totally is. You know, in big red letters, high maintenance.
We've got an HM here.
Oh, God, beyond. And I hate it so much. So then it's time to do the upper tray. He goes, all right, upper tray. And I'm like, all right. So he puts it in there. I immediately start gagging. Immediately. And I'm all, ooh, ooh, ooh. And so what does he do? He takes his two fingers and he puts them on my sternum, right under my, like where your Adam's apple, if you were a guy, would be. You know, that little hole right there at the top, at the bottom of your throat. So he puts pressure on those two things, and he goes, this is an acupuncture point. It literally will stop you from gagging. And of course, I'm like, I don't believe you. Like, I don't believe you. So he does it, and I literally stopped gagging.
Don't tell Daryl. No, I'm just kidding.
Listen, I thought about it, and I'm like, do I need to employ this? Is this something I need to do? Because it is an issue. So he's doing it, and I close my eyes. He's like, keep your eyes open. And I'm like, this is getting really inappropriate in my brain. Like, this is getting really inappropriate in my mind.
Yeah, and in your mind, you think it's like the beginning of a porn.
Exactly. The dentist.
Cynthia, would you excuse us for a moment?
And I mean, I have tears coming out of my eyes because my eyes were watering so bad. So finally he pulls it out. He pulls out the thing. And I know, Paula, this whole thing is awkward. I'm telling you, the whole thing was so awkward. And so he takes it out. And so he proceeds to explain to me the whole acupuncture thing about how, you know, he took classes and all that stuff. And I'm just sitting there going, And I mean, my mouth I feel like it's a stretched out sock. The assistant gives me a wet paper towel to wipe my mouth off. The whole thing felt so sexual. It was the most bizarre, uncomfortable moment of my entire life at the dentist. I felt such a dork. I'm like, I feel like I've been violated sexually, but I wanted it.
But I liked it.
But I liked it. It even tasted like peppermint.
Oh my God.
It was so awkward. Luckily, it all ended and it was over. And I'm like, I never want to do this again. Never.
That's funny.
Oh my God. I'm like, when will this dentist end? I don't want to do any more things. I just want to move on with my life. So.
Did you tell Daryl when you got home?
Of course I did. And of course he's got this like half like look on his face. Like, yes, this does sound sexual. and he's got this gleam in his eye. And I'm like, stop it. Just nothing I can say now about this experience doesn't sound sexual.
I know.
The whole thing about I had all this goo in my mouth, and then when he finally, he put both hands in there and he pulled it out, and I mean nothing. And Daryl's just looking at me going, "You just need to stop telling this story." He's like, "There's just nothing that's not turning me on right now." And I'm like, "Okay,
that's funny."
Yeah, it was really funny actually. Anyway, yeah, so that's my awkward moment.
Well, you're the winner this week for sure, definitely.
Thank you, stained period underwear.
Actually, they weren't stained. I had pooped in there, so. I'm just kidding. Well, and then when I told her what happened, then she told me, "Why were you wearing white underwear then, Mom?"
Because you don't understand how it works.
And I'm like, I didn't purposely wear white underwear, Olivia. I said it just happens.
It just happens, and then those become the period underwear.
And then
you
eventually, they all become period underwear, and you have to buy a whole new,
set of underwear that you don't wear when you're on your period.
Throw out the old.
It's just a thing, Olivia. It's a thing, okay? You'll figure it out. God.
So, well, I think that's a wrap today, folks. Thank you for joining us. Oh, we have a new link for you. Tell them about the question link.
Yes. So you guys are submitting your Ugly and Awkward moments, and we have received some requests for our advice or opinions on your situations in life. So we decided that we should have a cleaner way for you to submit them. So on our Ugly Truth page, we have a Dear Uggs page. So you can click on Dear Uggs at uglytruth.com, and you can submit your name and address and your question or Ugly and Awkward moment. Submit it to us, and we will review it and discuss it or read it. And with that, we will be able to send you a thank you gift, either from lipandclip.com or something else in the future. Who knows what that will be, for participating in listening to our show.
Perfect.
Yes.
So other than that, have a fabulous week, and we will see you on Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.
That's a wrap. Thanks for listening and sharing the show. See you next time on The Ugly Truth.